Wow. Invest in good cases. 1 minute ago, Atz Kilcher from Alaska, the last frontier is making the headlines for the despicable things found in his barn. This discovery came as a great shock to everyone because had lived a quiet life for a very long time. What do you think the authorities saw in Kilcher's barn that made the headlines? Get ready to find out in this video. Before the great revelation, kindly like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Atz Kilcher, one of the cast members of Alaska. The last frontier hated the limelight. He hated the attention and tried to live his life privately. However, beneath the privacy was a man who might have evil ideas and schemes. For a very long time, Atz Kilcher stayed in his barn, and his attachment became curious. He didn't allow people near the barn, nor did he leave the barn for a long time. His actions led to investigations, and what was revealed wasn't nice. In the barn, the investigators saw wait a bit. Do you know that not long after this revelation, Atz nearly lost his life? Shocked? Let's dive into that so you can get the full details. When Kilcher joined the show, he tried his best to make people see his values. And one of them was his priority for family. Watching him play with his family and create time for them was the biggest thing for his fans. They loved watching as he lived his life through the storms. Her hero who conquered the Alaskan wilderness with rare bravery. People loved him. However, what many do not know is that just recently Kilcher has been struggling with overcoming the challenges. His life is constantly full of unfortunate events from one public crisis to another. This is weakening Atz, but he is trying his best to hide it from his audience. According to rumors, his misfortunes are not just random. Many reported that those struggles are clear warning signs of Atz's deeper struggles that no one saw, especially the scars he kept hidden from his family and fans. Atz loves to appear calm and having it all under control, but life had other plans for him. As he goes through different seasons on the show, he becomes more vulnerable. Someone once shared about the reality series, "We saw the drama and the danger, but we never saw the warnings." The words were exactly the phase of Atz's life at the moment. Your favorite cast member is about to break down completely. Will he open up or go through the storms alone? What do you think? Later, his fans began to connect Atz's troubles to his legal woes. While working on Discovery show Alaska, The Last Frontier, Atz had made a name for himself and was known by all, and with the fame came the costly price of privacy. But Atz is still not ready to allow others into his misery. There are rumors that Atz may be carrying the pain alone due to his public image. The show follows the lives of the Kilcher family as they reside in the most remote part of the Alaskan wilderness. They made people watch as they survived and lived their lives away from modern technology and modernity. Gradually, the Kilcher family becomes involved in hunting, farming, fishing, and every other aspect of life to survive on the land. Atz made sure his fans saw that he could easily provide for and take care of his family. This image of him became his greatest hindrance to helping. Known for handling it all, he felt it was weak to ask for help. Atz's fearless nature also led to numerous issues for him. No one knew his pain. No one saw his tears. He was that tough man who had it covered. Also, was someone everyone could look up to. During a recent analysis, many people attested that they believed Atz had no fears about his actions in the show. He would climb the highest cliffs without fear, build cabins in remote areas, and also hunt in the cold. He was unstoppable and he made sure no one saw his flaws. However, behind the cameras, Atz's world was crumbling down. According to rumors, Atz's life had taken a turn for the worse. With recent incidents, nothing had prepared Atz for what he was going through. Not even his zeal for life in the wilderness could help him in this situation. From the last season and a few episodes, Atz's struggles were obvious, and his fans noted that he seemed different from his usual self. The always composed Atz was now easily withdrawn and distracted. After watching the last season, different comments have been pouring in from his fans, and they kept on checking on his well-being. Not long after the season was over, Atz's troubles were finally traced. Off camera, he was battling various legal and health issues. The problems got so overwhelming for him that he could not run to anyone for help. And while this was happening, a great calamity occurred. As if life had not tortured him enough, Kilcher found himself in the middle of a nearly fatal accident. On the day of the accident, Az was hiking in Otter Cove. As he was enjoying his hike, he fell off a cliff that was nearly 40 feet high. The fall was so great that many people thought he had lost his life. His fans were scared for him, but Atz didn't die. Instead, he sustained significant injuries and it broke him completely. Because of the intensity of the fall, he broke his arm. After he was rushed to the hospital, a medical checkup revealed a lot of pain in his body. He had punctured his lungs, broken his ankles, his hips, and also cracked a few ribs. It was a matter of life and death, and he spent a lot of time in the hospital. Months later, Atz was still recovering. However, it was not easy for him. He struggled to get up on his knees again. Now there are reports that Atz Kilcher will be able to walk on his feet and go back to normally, but it will take him years of recovery. After this accident, something happened to Atz. He held in the pain and started getting depressed. He was traumatized by the accident, but he didn't reveal it to others. What didn't know was that his pain was not only his, but it also affected his family as well. With so much happening to many of his fans got curious about what led to the accident. It wasn't Az Kilcher's first time hiking, but he suffered a terrible injury. Are you curious about what happened? Let's go back to the beginning. On the day of the accident, Atz was not the only one hiking at Otter Cove. He was with his friend Mark. Unfortunately for them, they were enjoying the hike so much that the darkness crept in, but they didn't notice. While it was dark, Atz lost his footing and unfortunately slipped off the cliff. It was a significant fall, and before his friend could reach him, the damage had been done. Luckily for Atz, his friend had a satellite phone and was able to call for help. The paramedics arrived just in time with their helicopter. When they got there, they transported him to the hospital for treatment. Though Atz tried to hide the full details of the accident from his fans, they were all aware of it. Some of his fans shared their fears that if Mark was not with him and able to call for help, their favorite star would have lost his life. Surprisingly, despite everything that was happening, Jane Kilcher was unaware. Oh yes, she wasn't. She was at home waiting for her husband when it was revealed to her that he had gotten into an accident. Jane admitted that she only learned about Atz's accident in the middle of the night. She received a phone call and got the shock of her life. According to her, the call was a loaded one she would have never expected in a million years. When she got to know about her beloved's pain, she was devastated and shattered. The aftermath of the fall was a lot more hopeful. After getting to the hospital and seeing, Jane shared the news of the accident on Facebook. When people read her posts, different comments started trooping in. After his discharge from the hospital, made sure to tell his fans about it all. He updated them on his health and shared pictures of himself and x-rays from his hospital bed. A year after his fall, he posted another photo of himself from a hospital bed. Underneath the picture, he wrote a caption that was truly inspirational and got many of his fans in tears. On social media, Az wrote and shared about how the accident was a humbling moment for him. He also spoke about how the last year had been unfortunately challenging, yet he was still thankful because he had his family and friends with him. Atz continued his post by thanking his fans. According to his words, his accident made him see how much his fans cared through their constant messages and well wishes. He made them know he was grateful for all of it. Atz also stated that although his injuries were many, they were slowly healing. The accident had forced him to slow down and it affected his performances. He couldn't hunt or build like he used to, and he couldn't film as much as he used to. The accident began to affect his self-esteem and he got withdrawn easily. Later decided to take time away from the show, and this was what caused the fans to worry. Through it all, Az made sure he stayed connected to them through social media. He was missed on the show terribly, but Atz could not bring himself to come back until he regained his confidence. While he was alone, he made sure to share updates on his health journey with his fans. On many occasions, asked those who supported him through the process. While he was still going through a health crisis, he got involved with the law, and it was not nice. After the accident, Az decided to sue the Otter Cove resort where he fell. He requested $100,000 in compensation for the damage that was done. What do you think at this point? Do you think it's right for him to sue the resort? Let's find out. According to Atz, The accident could have been avoided if the authorities had placed a proper warning sign on the resort. He further accused the resort of not having safety precautions for visitors. In anger, as called their actions deceptive. With its reputation, people got interested in the case, and the resort knew they needed to defend themselves or get ruined. The resort fired back and refused to take any responsibility for the accident. In their defense, they claimed was negligent while hiking. This statement didn't sit well with, and the two parties got into a fierce war. Unknown to Atz, his battle and legal wars had just started, and it was not going to be easy for him. He didn't win against the resort as they stood their ground and fought to keep their position. Now you see why has been withdrawn. While he was still brooding over his loss, he got into another big problem with the law. Atz had committed a crime and no one knew about it. But what he didn't know was that justice respects no one. Not long after his little issue with the resort, he joined a black bear hunting trip in a remote part of Alaska. Atz was very excited on that day and his joy was seen. However, in excitement he made a big mistake. Instead of hiking into the wilderness like other hunters would, both he and his group decided to use a helicopter to get into the area. First, it looked like it was nothing. But in Alaska it was a big problem, a huge one at that. The state had strict laws protecting wildlife and fair chase hunting. However, in Atz's case, it was certainly illegal to use helicopters for hunting. According to the Alaskan laws, using helicopters for spotting, tracking, or even transporting hunters, their gear, or even unprocessed game was not allowed, but Atz didn't care. He had involved himself in illegal activity. On the said day, people saw him and an anonymous person tipped off the authorities from the Alaska State Troopers about the flight. The officers investigated and he was found guilty. He was charged, and in the documents it was recorded that he and other kilters were transported by a helicopter to Bradley Lake. They were taken there to hunt for black bears as part of an episode that was to be broadcast. However, this didn't save Atz from the law's grasp. The production company, Wilma TV, which filmed the episode, also became involved in the entire case. The television was charged with a misdemeanor hunting violation for housing an unlawful method to take or attempt to take game. Atz, on the other hand, was charged with illegal hunting practices, which was a violation under Alaska's wildlife regulations. After the whole case subsided somewhat, everyone had questions on their minds. For instance, people were curious about how the authorities discovered the breach in the first place. What do you think? Who tipped them off? After extensive investigation, the secret was finally revealed. According to Alaska State Trooper spokeswoman Megan Peters, a former employee of the production company, provided the troopers with a tip about the illegal hunt. She shared that a former employee, a Homer man, was hired by Wilma TV to work as a medic on the filming set. According to the tip they received, Wilma TV had instructed the medic not to inform the helicopter company contracted for filming that hunting would be taking place. Additionally, the medic decided not to work on the project after learning about their plans. After he left, he tipped off Alaska Wildlife Trooper Trent about the planned hunting. When Trent saw the episode, it showed Atz shooting at a black bear. While watching it, he remembered the medic's report and immediately contacted the helicopter company. The company confirmed all he needed to know. They had flown Atz and the production crews to Bradley. However, they stated that they were not aware of the planned hunting trip. He spoke to two Wilma TV producers and they told him that they had used a float plane to hunt in an earlier episode. According to them, using a helicopter was not going to be a big issue. After a while, as was interviewed, he was sure to make the headlines with his various scandals. In the interview, as opened up about a big secret, he shared that he never wanted to partake in the hunt, but he had been under pressure from the producers to get a bear. Even when he mentioned to the producers that it was illegal to go over by helicopter, they didn't listen to him and told him to go along with it anyway. He was encouraged to continue and that it was all going to turn out fine. In his defense, his lawyer, Atz's lawyer, Kevin Fitzgerald, stated that they didn't commit a crime because the charge against them involved the hunting down of a black bear, and technically they never hunted a bear. Though the episode showed as trying to hunt an animal, he didn't do it. There was no attempt to take that specific animal, his lawyer argued. Kevin supported his point by highlighting the nature of reality TV. He shared that sometimes what happens on camera is not always true. according to the court records, was not accused of shooting a bear from a helicopter. Instead, he was charged with using an aircraft to transport himself for hunting. During the court proceedings, was on his best behavior. He kept quiet and looked sober. He cooperated completely and didn't fight when his crimes were stated. All he did was to explain his perspective on the whole issue. He shared in court that it was never his intention to break any laws and he had used the helicopter to scout the land. Also, he didn't actively hunt during the flight. However, this didn't exclude him from the punishment he deserved. During his sentencing hearing, he was given a court verdict. After hearing from him, Homer District Court Judge Margaret Murphy handed down a sentence that included a $1,500 fine against him. Wilma TV, on the other hand, was issued a $17,000 and $500,000 fine. Now that fans and viewers are already aware of the sentence and his crimes, they are disappointed in him. It shocked everyone to discover that their favorite star, who had just recovered from a life-threatening situation, was already in another lawsuit. When the Discovery Channel was asked about the whole matter, they refused to give any public statements about the case, and they made sure the entire scandal didn't affect the show. They continued filming. However, the fans knew something was wrong on the show. Though no one knew the full details of what Atz was going through in court, his absence was noticeable. His fans began to notice that he was silent for a long time. Atz was not the type to go a week without sharing hunting trips, building escapades, and family moments on his social media. He had gone radio silent, and it shocked everyone. The whole issue with ATS made fans see another side of reality shows. Now they know that reality series only reveal to you what they want you to know and not the whole picture. Though the sentence ATS was given was light, it still caused a rift in the show's production. There was a lot of negative chatter and publicity about the show, and it wasn't good for ATS at all. Do you think he will ever recover from this? While ATZ was trying to get back on his feet, what happened next? His son Atz Kilcher was dragged into the internet mess. But this time for something different. Let's explore that. After legal issues, people targeted his children, and it started with Atz Kilcher. People started spreading lies that Atz is dead. As much as they were trying to make money, this grieved Atz. Atz cares deeply about his image, and watching his children get entangled in various troubles because of him hurts him greatly. However, he stood by his son and they fought all the rumors together. When the rumors subsided, AZ's other children were dragged into the picture again. After the show's premieres, tried to keep two of his children away from the fame, and that's Etienne and Piper. Later, it was revealed that he kept them away on purpose. He knew what fame and popularity had done to him, and he wanted his children far away from it. Do you think he succeeded in that? A big no. While ATZ and Jane were keeping their children away from the limelight, different reporters kept bringing them back to the media. It was a tough season for the family. Cameras trolled them, and it was hard for them to enjoy their freedom. When they couldn't take it anymore, Jane decided to speak up. She posted a note on her Facebook page. There, she started by telling her fans about the show. After a while, Jane addressed the issue about their children. There were questions, and she was ready to answer them all. She said, "I know I'm the only married woman in the Kilcher family that won't put my kids on TV, but I had a blast this year filming." She tried her best not to share more details about it, and people understood her. Luckily for her, her fans who saw the post supported her decision. Everything changed, and instead of insults, she got their applause and love instead. Fans commented on her post and wrote, "Those are your kids. You decide what is right for them." One commenter wrote, "If you protect your children, they don't want to be on the show. You are a wonderfully protective mother." Another added, "After the posts, people stopped disturbing them about their kids." Later, it was revealed that both Etienne and Piper had not been absent from the show like people thought. Unknown to many, the two of them actually appeared in the first episode of the show. After that episode, they were kept away from the show completely. To that, Jane shared that they will only show up next when they want to and when they are ready to handle being in the public eye. "I've been overwhelmed lately by people realizing we have children that are not on the show," she wrote on Facebook. "We are so proud of our kids. Piper is 14 and Etienne is 16. They are not a secret. We just keep their lives private and away from the awful internet trolls and others. But as they get older, you may see them on their own volition in an episode or two after I have made sure they can deal with all the craziness. Till the very end, Jane made sure she protected her children and kept them from all harm. And this, of course, made people get interested in her as well. Jane Kilcher is not just Ats's wife. She is a woman with many skills. People often rumored that marrying her was Ats's best decision in life. Jane works as a registered nurse, enjoys fishing and hunting. She also lives on a homestead and appears on the reality series a lot of times. While she was living in the remote wilderness of